So we have built a fully automated identity verification platform because we saw the need to take away human interaction. Now, humans are great. We love them, as we always say, but they don't always, and they're not always on good form. They often can't spot critical things. They can't scale very well because obviously they only have a certain capacity, and they do make mistakes. They're also open to fraud, right? And so we built a platform that allows businesses to do the identity verification process, which is critical today to getting people inside your business, understanding the needs that they have, and making sure you're compliant, particularly, and that the person is legitimately the person that you're letting into a system. So we built this generative AI-driven platform, trained synthetic identities to be able to spot deepfakes and people who shouldn't be on that platform. The automation drives huge benefits to customers because at the back end, they can save a whole bunch of money by not having to have thousands of people do manual checks. The user gets a fantastic experience because it's quick and efficient and safe. So they get a result, within seconds ultimately, and they can move through their journey to buy or sign up to or engage with a product or service that the customer wants to deliver to them. So we see huge favor towards our system. The automation of our system and the technology that we're using to scale is really helping businesses across the world. Yeah, look, AI has been around for a couple of decades now. I think it's getting a lot of traction, and we're seeing it because of the consumer apps, because of ChatGPT and Bard, and Microsoft, obviously, in their investment. It's a technology that fundamentally is going to change the world, and it's doing that right now. And that's why Rishi Sunak had the AI Summit a couple of weeks ago in the UK. We want to be at the center of that and these discussions. It's very misunderstood, as a lot of new technology is. So there's the fear-mongering side of, will AI take us over? I'm a huge science fiction fan. And if I think about all the Blade Runner and 2001 Space Odyssey and what AI could do to overthrow humans, of course, the fear is there. And we have to have some sort of structure and regulation around what AI can do, some ethics, a code of ethics for people to follow and for businesses to subscribe to in order to make it compliant and acceptable. The benefits of AI, and we use generative AI in our technology and identity, is that you can trade on data that is ethically sourced. So the biggest problem that we see with AI, particularly in identity and across the world, is there's a bias built into AI. Why? Because you had white male engineers training systems, and they built their own biases into those systems and created things like excluding people with darker faces, for example. We've tested and been verified at 99.9% to have inclusivity and zero bias in our AI. And that's a strive that I want the whole industry to go for, is to try and have bias not be in our AI, not be in our systems, and to be able to take everyone fairly and squarely in terms of them being brought onto our platform or system. It takes a lot of work to do that, and generative AI has huge potential to bring that to people anywhere in the world with any identity, any skin color, any gender. And so we have to embrace that. But we're soliciting, or we're agitating for something called a nutrition label, like a data nutrition label. So think about, you walk into a supermarket, you look at a food item, you can clearly see what's in it, right? Data and AI should have the same thing. Where is it sourced from? Are you regulatory compliant? And are you part of an ethical framework of standards? And I think if AI has that in all forms, whether it's music or images or poetry or identity, you should have that watermark, that nutrition label, for people to clearly identify what's generated by AI and what's not. And I think that'll help people to feel more comfortable about that. And I think people and businesses subscribing to some sort of framework and ethics is going to help us to drive it forward. But do not dismiss it because of some fear that's based on some movie or some rhetoric somewhere. You really have to embrace it. It is the future of the world. Yeah, I touched on that a little bit before, so I kind of bled into this question. But, for us, inclusivity is at the heart of our business. It's at the core of what we do, ultimately. We designed our products because one of our biggest banking CTOs at the time was blind. And that awareness of inclusivity and the need to create things that allow people with disabilities, different races, different backgrounds, are included in the way that we bring this on board. There's a lot of talk about inclusivity in this country particularly. We have a lot of immigration. In fact, 60% of net immigration over the last 20 years is from foreign people, while immigration and population growth in this country is from foreigners. And so actually as a country, we don't have a lot of growth happening, so we need to welcome that. As an immigrant, somebody who's moved here, they're not being able to access bank accounts in the first 6 months that I get here, not being registered on systems, not being seen as legitimate, even though I've come from another country where I have decades of experience and data on me, is difficult. And I think we have to use technology to create inclusivity for those kind of people, plus the people in our country who maybe don't have ID documents, and we've got to help them get there. Maybe somebody older, somebody without identity. There are ways to do this, but we shouldn't use that as the argument for not driving the core of what we need to do. There are other ways we will get that done, but the real focus using AI is making sure that everybody gets a go at it. We stop the deep fakes. We create something called good fakes. So we actually think fakes aren't a bad thing, because we train on tens of millions of fakes in order to create environments that we can't get ethically. You'd have to steal someone's data of CCTV or film them in social media without them knowing. We don't believe that's the way to generate identity in AI. You need ethical sources, and we want to make sure that everybody's using ethical AI to use in their industry, in their technology, in their business, and supporting people at the same time as having great user experience.